welcome back to our channel. We are your hosts. I am Amanda Alexander and Caroline Stevens with another opinion loading. If you are new to our channel, please do not hesitate to hit that subscribe button one time. Don't stick. All right. So if you have been keeping up with our I Do series, then today we are closing the curtain with the topic after you say I do. And along with us are three committed couples. And it is our hope that the gems they are about to share today may be an inspiration in some way after you say I do. So let's meet our couples.
Hi everyone, I am Tobalyn Sandy, wife of Darren Sandy. Yeah.
Y'all can tell us, how long you all have been married, if you all have kids.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Darren Sandy. Well, as my wife just introduced me, we have been married since 2014. Well, we're recording this today. Tomorrow is actually our anniversary.
Congrats.
Yeah, I'll be 7 years. 7 years.
In number of completion.
We finish after that.
No, that's just like a new, No, that's like, okay, it's like a new realm that you're going into. Like, yes, you've made it through 7. Let's go.
Yeah, we have one beautiful daughter. Her name is Sila Sandy. She's 3 years old. And I think that's the joy of our marriage. And yeah, we just glad to be here.
Hi, we are Candace and Denzel Edwards. We met at college, USC College. Well, I think back then it was CUC. We subsequently met, well, on campus. We used to see each other all the time, but it was just like, hi. And we met at church again, where he brought his choir, at the time, Aruka Estate Choir, to my church. And after that, he started talking to me more. He probably come up with a plan in his mind or whatever. And after that in school, we talked a little more. We dated a year after that for about 5 years, and then we got married. So this December, we'll be married for 19 years, and we have one beautiful teenage boy named Peter.
I am Samuel Alexander, husband of Cheryl Alexander. I met a step of Laventille SDA Church, walking up the second to last step, and I saw her fully dressed. And when I saw that person, I was in the room watching her that Sabbath evening. I allowed my mind, of course, to always go on things on the Sabbath day. And when I saw her, I said, is she still walking up there? I've seen her the first time. I am going to make a move before any other male makes the move. And that's what happened when 79, I saw her 78. And I told her on the 31st of December 1980 that I want your husband. She agreed. And we got married on the 29th of November 1981. And we have 3 children. I suppose the 3 best children in the world. Susanna and Cleon. That's why I could say that with other couples here who have other children, but for us. And so beautiful time. So let us see what this interview will bring forth.
These are beautiful introductions. I've learned a lot about the couples here just by your introductions. We'll jump right into the questions. So the honeymoon phase is a euphoria that fizzles out quickly when the see me, come live with me attitudes set in. How did you manage each other's expectations when the honeymoon blinders were removed?
I remember that we were married in November 1981, and we missed our flight to go on our honeymoon to Tobago. So it was deferred until the next year?
Yes, sometime in 82. Sometime in 82 we went.
Right, so we went back to where we were renting in our apartment before honeymoon for that year there. Now, after the week of the honeymoon was over, I remember saying, I have to get up and wash now. Ooh, all different new things that as a woman, I expected to do these things, and he took up that mantle. It was a really great change.
So nice to hear that. But I know that before, well, it was soon after marriage when I realized that the way my mother used to taught us to iron clothes with the necks and different things, I noticed some other things, and without seeing sometimes, I used to go back after she ironed and do some things that I saw my mother did. I didn't want to tell her to iron like my mother, but I just love the way my mother tell me to iron certain things first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So on, the end result was the same. You understand? But that was part of it. I loved ironing, I loved washing, and I wanted to make sure she is peaceful, because not having sex for 26 years, I didn't want her to have any reason to be unamused. So far for that.
I think we were in a unique situation in terms of like me personally, I don't go around giving people marriage advice, because like my situation is so unique, as well as Tova's to that extent, whereby our life schedules didn't really allow us I guess engage with each other much, probably until COVID was probably the first time that we were both home so many times, and then Tova was always in school too, and doing work and all the other things that we are involved in. So our engagement was a bit different in terms of I don't think we ever really encountered each other around last year in any real way. And then like from a very young age, my parents migrated, so it used to be me in the house there alone for the most times, and my sister eventually left. So I was kind of accustomed doing my own thing. She was accustomed doing her own thing, and our marriage kind of facilitated both of us doing our own thing, which it could work. It has its upside, and it definitely has its downsides to it as well. Right? So like the transition from the honeymoon phase, yeah, we had a good honeymoon, etc. We went somewhere exclusive. We did those marriage people things, etc. And but when we came back, it was just back into a routine that didn't really give us that time to connect. And of course you learn things from that. So
yeah, of course. Just to add to what Darren is saying, and I don't necessarily think we didn't connect, but certainly we understood. Like we were so fine with, listen, you do your thing, I do my thing, and we know that there's this marriage, there's this commitment, and that was, as Darren said, excellent for what we created for ourselves. And I used to say similar to Darren, like I'm no marriage guru, but this is what works for us, and certainly while that is, every marriage is unique and everybody needs to work out whatever works for them, we know that there are certain pillars of marriage, like having that personal time together, etc., which we only really encountered in a real intimate way during COVID, which stretched us. And I would dare say even a little bit before COVID, when Sianda was born, because now we had to synchronize time. So before it was like, okay, you whatever time you work on, I'm good with that. Whatever time I work on, you good with that. But with Sianda, there's this common denominator now where I have to say, okay, if I'm doing it this time, you're doing it this time. So that was the first time we were really stretched in our marriage in terms of what our marriage was. Before that, it was like, yeah, if this were marriages, then you should have time. So certainly we had a very, very unique experience, and as I said, it was though challenged when Sianda was born and redefined even further during COVID.
Well, for us, I would say the honeymoon stage, which could last, they say, from when you get married to whatever period. And I think for us, it was fun for the first 2 or 3 years. The dynamics changed after the baby came, so for us, I would say getting to know him and live with him in the same house, it wasn't as challenging as some stories I would have heard from friends or colleagues, I didn't have that experience moving in together and being around each other all the time, because coming up to that, it was like you're on the phone all the time talking, you're going out you're just around each other all the time. And settling in together was, I don't know, I just find it was easy. It was not a challenge. Especially first year when everybody trying to impress, right? I remember getting up a little earlier before, so I'd wash my face and all of that. And of course, that went out the door a little while after. I ain't got time for that. So yeah, adjusting, it was smooth. I don't think I had major issues with, you have the toothpaste here, or you have this there, have that there, but it did change after the baby come, because your emotions all over, you're tired, you're a little snappy, so you have to kind of learn how to balance that. And still balance how you communicate with your partner as well, because of course that could just, it's important that it's respectful all the time,
No, it wasn't hard. I still in the honeymoon stage. I tried to play some cards. I tried to hang out, Jack. But no, that she's right. It wasn't that difficult at the beginning. Yes, the dynamics of the marriage changed, and with that change, we had to adjust. But they see me come and live with me. That period, it wasn't difficult at all.
Okay, so after the honeymoon phase, and you're in this marriage a while now or whatnot, especially for the Alexanders being married so long, sometimes persons may tend to get complacent, right? And when we look at complacency in relationship, it reflects feeling so satisfied and secure that you may think that you don't need to try any harder to keep the marriage, going and whatnot. But then also on the flip side, the irony is that complacency can be a good indication that you feel emotionally safe with one another, right? So my question is, how can someone tell if they are still in love with their spouse, or is it that they are just comfortable and complacent?
The way I will answer this question is kind of building on the honeymoon phase question. So, as I said, for us, we felt very comfortable. So the honeymoon phase was just going on and on. It's like, yeah, this is what marriage is, excellent, right? So that could have meant that we were becoming very complacent, because it's like, yeah, cool. And like Candace said, listen, earlier, I was cleaning the yard, trying to cook, knowing my schedule. That Darren, you make a whole Facebook post about it that time. And I remember from 7 years ago, like, yeah, if I didn't tell me this one marriage is about to be in person, I feel like, all right, go back on Facebook and find it, right? No, and so you're trying to keep up with the whatnot. But the thing about it, as I said, we were home very little and we were out a lot. But in reality, there are certain pillars of marriage, as I mentioned earlier. You must have that intimacy, you must have that alone time. I'm not talking just about alone time for the night time or, to be intimate, but to have that one-on-one, etc., which we felt comfortable in just living as two individuals in a marriage, which could often become like roommates, right? And then, of course, you have the marriage benefit, the intimate part of it. And while it was working for us in when I tell you a really good ways, like I have they're in place no better than me, and still to this day, like to cook, to clean, to nothing. It's like you do your thing, I do my thing. But as I said, that can that can impact your marriage in the long term, because when challenges come, then you may not know how to be that deeply intimate because you've not gone through, that rigor. For me to be comfortable to say, you know what, I'm not comfortable with this. So for me, like the toothpaste story Candace referred to, Candace, my thing was, Darren is extremely organized. Darren will fold socks, underwear, all them things. Tova is a girl, she just go in. And don't squeeze the toothpaste in the middle. To me, there's a simple solution to that. I buy 2 toothpaste, right? No worries. So there was always a way for us to get around it as opposed to dealing with it head on. And of
Right.
course, you're in each other's face during COVID, or you have a child and you can't just say, okay, well, I'll just do this or you do that. So those things are essential for marriage in terms of not being so complacent. Yes, I love you, but I love my friends too. What's the difference between me loving my friend versus being in a marriage commitment and, going the extra mile and getting into the deep conversation? So to me, yes, you can know that you love somebody, but complacency could be the killer of any marriage. And again, that's not a good thing. Yes, you might be still in love, but love takes a little bit more than, just being complacent and everything is everything. You have to be truthful, and if somebody can love you in when you speak your truth into the things that you don't like, etc., then you know that person love you for who you are versus the person that you're trying for them to love. So yeah.
I agree. Complacency is a dangerous thing. You see, complacency says that you make the assumption that the person know that you love them and you love them still. I just tell people, I would tell my partners, if there's any guy who likes Candace, the man has taste. I have a good looking woman. So I cannot be complacent and be assuming that she know that I love her, because the fact of the matter is the world outside would actually start to do what I stopped doing, right? And we've been married for 19 years. And yes, we went through that period where there was some complacency, where I love you. I doing this, I doing that. And she'll be like, yeah, but yeah, show me, yeah, tell me. And I was like, what? I just show you again. When last you tell me you love me? Yeah, when last you tell me you love me? When last? And I was like, what? In my mind is, I get up early while you still sleeping. I say about kid and that kind of thing. Isn't that me showing you that I love you? And the complacency stepped in. And what I had to realize is being in love and letting the person know that you love them and showing them that you love them is a recurring factor that happens in the marriage. So at the earlier stages, saying, Candace, I love you was enough. If I say, Candace, I love you now, she'll be like, you want something? Or I was like, no, I just expressed my love to you, but now the expression of the love is different. So when she sees the expression, she will know, yes, Denzel still loves me. Yes, every now and then I would pass, probably just touch on her shoulder, touch on the back of her neck, give her a kiss on her neck, just to let her know that I don't just love you, I am in love with you. So it takes away the complacency. So when she gets to that point of where we I think we are coming to the point of being great companions now, or being great house buddies, I don't know, right? We know each other's movements, but that way of letting the person always know that I love them, that is something that we always have to keep to the front of our minds and deal with all the time.
And I think too that your expression of love will change over the years, as he mentioned, because you change over the years, and what you require to feel love will change, And of course, with your scheduling, like, as Darren and Tova said, they had different schedules. And with schedule, when you have a job that takes you so busy, you're busy doing this, you're busy doing that. For us, we had to make a conscious effort to put aside a day so we chose a date night, and we said, listen, if it's to go for a drive down south, if it's to go get Flurry somewhere on a Saturday night, that is our night. So if anything has to come up, because you know Denzel, he always have something to do. He would know that not Saturday night, or if it is a Saturday night, it's something that we could go do together, whether it's a concert, whether it's a church social or something. It's something that we put specific effort into spending time together.
This marriage thing that has been not spoken about truthfully by older folks when I was 20 showed up plenty flaws in how the older folks dealt with marriage and so on. So that the love in the Bible, when God spoke about love, it's an approach. You can be totally disgusted with somebody and it does not affect the love. If my wife doesn't do what I want her to do, what I think she should do, that has nothing to do with love diminishing or increasing. We are here to last forever. Nothing is going to humbug us. But there are so many different things we see differently. And this oneness that is talked about for marriage and so on, I don't know what that is. All I know, we are here to make marriage work, whether it's two-ness, three-ness, four-ness. The people who understand it, let them understand it. And for my marriage, I didn't want to be any churchy marriage and to be guided by what I've been hearing. When I go through this, I realize like nobody who was older than me know about marriage after 5 and 10, 15 years marriage. So we learned on the job and watching other folks and reading. That man who wrote that book, Men from Mars, Women from Venus, that changed my whole life after 11, 12 years of marriage. I realized she could think however she wants on a topic, and I could think however I want. The important thing is we are here to make sure that we do what God says we have to do as a couple. And if we have, I want to do ballroom dancing, Cheryl will have none of it. And I had to go and hug up other women in ballroom dancing. But I loved it. That has nothing to do with my love diminishing. You understand? So there are many other things that she saw differently to how I saw it. And that is what, so we just let it work. Even the same point that I saw that Denzel make about honeymoon. Whoever invented that word honeymoon, whatever it means, I never know what that is. You understand? So that we just have to allow youths, in case this program is to also help those who are unmarried and those who are married for 1 and 2, 3 years, try to make your marriage how you want it with all the fancy words that people used to use before, or how don't tell anybody this if something happened in marriage, and don't tell anybody this and keep this for yourself. The older folks used to get in all the licks, they used to get it from husband and wife and then going up and preaching and 2 seconds after and so on. So you have to sit down and say, like, you see, when something wrong with us, we're going to sit down and talk, or we're going to just talk the time out and we're going to deal with this how we want it. If I want to talk to a good, trusted male friend to get it off, that will be my task, to chat with a good, trusted male friend. If I find Cheryl is frustrating me on an issue, and I hope she maybe had a female friend, but somehow I think she never had a close female friend, as I had plenty males. So I was kind of sorry for her that she didn't have somebody who she can close to, especially when her sister left. You know, but this marriage is, or her mother was her trusted mate. So let us, I think, the purpose is to make sure that your marriage works. I made a commitment for my marriage that I will never divorce. Certain decisions I made before. It's not a matter of going and see what will happen. Anybody who is watching this and unmarried, this nonsense approach about going and see if it will work, you don't go into marriage that way at all. You go in there to last. You're going to bring children into this world. I didn't know if we're going to get children at all. So all those who go in marriage and say they want 1 child, they want 2 children, they want 3 children, I didn't know if I was going to get any. But I know that nothing, whether I get or I get, is not going to humbug our enjoying of a marriage and doing a million things that we ourselves will invent, including what I heard Denzel White said. Every Saturday was alignment night. Church board or no church board, but I used to give in now and then and still go to church board and so on and miss a work. But Saturday night was alignment night for all the years from the time the children born, straight up to when they decide, when they had their own friends to go to now at 10 and 11 and 12 and 13 and 14 and 15. Saturday night was standard. No 2 ways about it. Nobody can get us to go anywhere. Anywhere, whether we have to spend 5 cents, 10 cents, or 11 cents. Saturday night was Lyman night, Village. They know that we're going all about. So without saying too much, let's just continue this marriage talk.
There's something I want to interject here in that for the first 5 years of our marriage, what we did, we had a plan for the first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we said in the second year, if hopefully we could start having a family, and the third year we would look for a house. So we had the first 5 years plan, and it went to suit for the first 5 years. So we had a plan, okay, what we want, what I want to accomplish educational wise, we had it listed. And it's not that everything went as was on the Stan had it written down on those long time envelope things we used to write letters on. So we just take a look at it now and again and say, okay, we are going to. So after 2 years, we married in 81, children born in 83, December 83, and 85 we got the house. So everything went according to that first 5 years. So there's no major issues in that first 5 years because we were following a plan. Now, after the Shazad was born and we got the house, then things kind of relax and you kind of slip into complacency. But what I admired, what Sam used to do, he will notice something. He's not an arguing kind of a husband. Never heard him quarrel or argue. Like, he will notice something, and then a Friday night, Friday evening worship, we will have what you call a board.
Yeah, and learn from church board, not the long ones though.
And issues that were seen or observed, it will come out on the table, trash it out, understand where I feel, how you feel, where we're going and what to do. And that we still have that until our children now just call us when they say, how you going, mommy, how you going, daddy? And say, I find I ain't getting the response. I think we need to have a board.
yeah. They're playing fast.
So they call a Zoom and we have a family board dealing with issues. That's what I am. To get rid of the complicity every time we slip back into some sort of complacency.
That's lovely. That's a really lovely approach.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing each marriage is unique. I'm hearing in order to prevent complacency, you tell your spouse that you love them, you make time for them, etc. Right? I just wanted to ask, do you all believe in the love language theory? And how important is loving your spouse in their love language to your marriage?
Me personally, I don't believe in it. I'm probably a skeptic to some extent, but because I believe that people change on different days. So on one day this might work, on Tuesday this mightn't work. I believe on reading people improvise as they go along, and I don't. It works. I think it works sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't work. I know there are some things that I like. I don't really like being touched on things in terms of not sex, but like I don't like people in my personal space, like generally, and Tova love that and that thing. And me and really like that. So I think sometimes she probably feels that, yeah, boy, this boy thing, and he don't like intimacy and he this and he that. But the truth of the matter is I just love in a different way, and some days, I may have that, some days I may not. So I just try to adjust, adjust as according to the moment.
You see, the thing is, in Darren's example, he's actually talking about love language because his language isn't touch, but mine is, right? So, okay, if you don't like touch, certainly I then need to understand his love language, which I think primarily is, Darren just likes his speech, right?
Free speech.
Free speech. So, his love language is creativity. Find something, let's find a way. So, for instance, I remember before marriage, we said, okay, if we have an issue or to work out who will pay which bills and that kind of thing, we'll play basketball and decide. And he came up with all of that. And like every anniversary, he would do like this analyzer, like we'll analyze how things are going, etc., etc. And that's the way he does things. So I think you do understand and even appreciate love language. That's not your love language. Mine is, touch, etc., etc. And the thing is, you will do it for me. So,
No, I understand it, but I don't necessarily believe that is something to what you understand, to narrow your whole philosophy in life behind, like, all right, my wife is this kind of person, so I'm gonna do this particular thing all the time. You do different things, and on my end, I think that women and men are very different, and I think along the way, women have to accept some sort of how to take accountability for their behavior. Let me tell you what I mean just now. What I mean is this, like, all right, yeah, you want to be told I love you every day, and you want to be kissed behind your neck every now and again, and that's cool, and you have all the right to want to do that. But at the same time, sometimes the way men are raised many times, and people call it toxic, and it's not necessarily toxic. Taking care of the household, ensuring bills are paid, ensuring there are groceries in the house, ensuring that the car is running well, ensuring that the yard is cut. All these things are actually ways of expressing love. And I think women need to start to walk towards understanding the non-verbal factors that illustrate love. And I hold Topher accountable to that. Because the same way she could hold me accountable to not saying or not doing or not touching things, I hold her accountable to, like, yeah, but look at the bigger picture, and look at the context of everything that makes us up, everything that makes up the marriage, and how both of us contribute to these things in non-verbal ways that still express love. And that is why I say I do not want anybody. Well, I wouldn't encourage anybody to be narrowed under one philosophy as this is me inside this box of touch or whatever, because I don't necessarily think humans exist that way. So that's my contribution on that.
I am in agreement. My only thing is, it is important to understand love languages. And if you know your partner's love language, then why not? If it is acts of service, then do the things that they like,
Yes,
etc. That's
agreed.
all I'm saying. So I'm in total agreement, because yes, us as women, we need to recognize that that is probably that person's love language in terms of doing, and that's primarily a male type of love language. Listen, when I go out there, it's not because I'm going out and I don't want to be home. I want to ensure that we can pay our mortgage. We can, the cars, because you have cars to maintain, etc., etc. And that is them going all out, full-hearted. But the thing is, if you don't say it to each other, I think that is where the challenge comes. So I, again, learned that through COVID. So it's like, oh, all this time, this is you expressing your love in this way. But if we didn't say it, then we won't know. So I need to understand that with him. He needs to understand that with me in terms of my needs. And once we can find that common ground of understanding each other's love language, then yeah, it makes it so much easier.
Well, I believe in the love languages, and I also believe there's an overlap. Yes, he may have a dominant love language trait, but there are underlying and overlaps in other aspects. Right? So it's important for both parties to understand the other partner's own, not just say, I like touch, so that is important. So in a case of like Darren, his love language seems to be acts of kindness. So in their situation, his compromise will be expression of touch and playfulness and love and that kind of stuff. And for Topher, I would say she have to show acts of kindness and things that he likes to do. So maybe clean the house, do whatever. I don't know, make sure everything like that, For us, it's a little different. I also understand where the love language kind of overlaps with the personality traits. So when we got married, we did the personality test in premarital counseling. And it's something that even popped up on my job where you learn the different personalities. I can't even remember them off the top, but they had Mel and Connie. They had, which ones? I think it was 5 different. Right. And I'll tell you something, I find that thing so real, and it's a real overlap. And once you really understand that this is how the person is and they can't do nothing about it because that's just how it is, that really helps, It really, really helps. So instead of trying to change or get somebody to adjust to how you find it should be, once you accept this is just how they are, you will be able, it makes it easier on yourself, and I remember how I was able to understand it a little better is on the job when they gave us the test, and I understand I was able to identify a particular co-worker who used to drive me nuts. You're trying to show them something and he's like, yeah, I know. But I'm coming to show you something, and it used to just drive me nuts. And then after we did that program, that seminar, listen, dealing with him was so easy. I was like, oh, that's just how he is, yes. And I would stop being annoyed by him. So I brought it back home and I realized, sometimes I might be I have to be a little more understanding of his needs and a little more this, and it helped me to understand that this is how he is and this is what he needs and this is what I need. And sometimes my acts of kindness, my personality would change. So in the earlies, I would want the more intimacy and the touch and the romance aspect of it to feel love. But now after a certain amount of years, I would feel love with acts of kindness. So, you help me clean the house, you help me when I'm cooking, you help me with this, that, and the other. And that shows me that, okay, you're paying attention to what I need at this point in time.
Yeah, just for the record, the co-worker that she's talking about is not me, right? It's not me. I just want to say that, right? But I kind of agree with Darren to some extent. I understand the love languages, but it's not cast in stone. So I have to always be paying attention to the vibe Candice is given. How is she responding to particular things? So it has sometimes I will come up and say, girl, I love you. And it's like, I just throw water in the yard, right? And the sun going and dried up. And there are other times when it's the act of kindness. What I found during our years of being married is pay attention to her, right? And she would always give the clue as to what it is she needs to hear or what it is she needs to see. And because, I say this now because it's 19 years, but before I was like, let me see what I could get. This, only my love language, simple. It's simple. It's just 2 things. Curry goat, sex. That is all. That is all for my love languages. But as I grew older in the marriage, I realized it's not about me. It's about her. How could she feel comfortable in the marriage knowing that I love her and I am in love with her? So that is when I started to pay attention to the love languages and realize that, okay, different things work at different times, but her main thing is actually hearing it and the acts of service. That's her main things.
Okay.
Well, love languages, of course, books have to be written. So from the time that book came out and I started hearing them talking about love languages, I just listened on. I never wanted to be on the heading, love languages. I don't think I've ever read the book. I don't know what they mean by a love language. All I know, whatever, just like what Darren said, every day, if they have 5 love languages, it could be 20, could be 29, could be 3,000. Whatever the day will bring that will allow me to show love, that is the language. I didn't say if it's a language or if it's a dialect. I'm not interested. I didn't want to be under any heading to have to live up to this. When the morning comes and you breathe that beautiful sunlight, so whether it's when sunlight are breathing is the air, but it used to look like sunlight coming through my nose. Everything, every day, I just enjoy the day. Whether rain falls, sunshine, storm comes, it's a beautiful day. Same thing with you. If you get up, you go to school, you come back from late from a work, or I have an extra class, or she has a class. From the time she ring, she ready to come, I go and pick up. So wherever I am, I come in to pick up there. The children in late from school and they have to do a class. I have to go and pick them up. I have to ring somebody. If my car shut down, I ring another brother and say, pick them up. The task was the man task to make sure that things work. So she just have to be there. I mean, as a great support. Look at all the food she cooked for all them now for 40 years. Now and then I put in a little something, but I didn't have no curry goat and no main thing. But I know for sure she know that roast beef was my stuff. She know to make bake. And if that is my love, you give me bake, and it was cheese and bread. But now I know I cut off the cheese and she making China cheese for me, or what, that split piece cheese. That is what's going on now. So for all the marriages who have to come up, you look for whatever you want to make, and that be your language or whatever they want to call it, and so on and so on.
I also agree with that. And I always find, I don't want to, as Darren said, put anybody in a box. So observe partner, see what he likes, see what he enjoys, and follow it. Than to have this itemized, choleric, this, that. I think Sam, all of them. He's outgoing.
Every day I am before together. Every second I could move from here to there to there. Same thing. But Cheryl didn't use to move so thing. But today, yeah. And I want the children to be just like that when they marry, because I always tell them, if I hear their husband only quarrel once, I'm dealing with him. And now that period going, we have to always show them that we're behind them. You understand? Because they're going to make the same mistakes that two of us make. Bet your bottom dollar any marriage coming up. Plan for the mistake from in advance. Like how you plan if somebody bunks you tomorrow, what you're going to tell them. Plan for when mistakes happen in marriage. Don't wait for it to happen. Somebody must bunk you. Come out and say, oh, so sorry. Is there anything wrong with you? You plan from that one before. Don't wait for it to happen. So when something happens, if I smell it from there, I'm opening the door and I smell something with the thing, I put myself in gear, right, okay, good. So I have to do this, cool down this one time. Let me go and wash the wares one time before I go inside. Look at this, look at this thing. I forget to do this for 3 weeks now. She tells me to do this thing, and I feel that facial expression is because I forget, because I forget plenty. So from the time I reach by the door, I just turn back the car. And the children say, well, when I come back, but daddy, you didn't just pass. Yes, but when I reach, I realize I forget so and so. I'm not stupid to come inside the door and forgetting for she to say, go back. No, there is something called reverse gear and turn around. I turn around one time, go and get it and come back. So make every day count.
Moving along, each couple here has at least one child, right? How did you maneuver, or do you maneuver family life, work, finances, etc., and still find time to take care of your individual needs? That's one aspect of the question. And then what did you do to keep the marriage blissful?
I don't know if all the other ladies here feel the same like me, but I've heard it so many times. Women have a very, very different experience in terms of, just being in a marriage setting. And after I had Sianga, I remember saying that every single woman who have made a child, I think that they're warriors, because it's just what your body would have gone through one. And then this need for this child that has to come innately, without a rule book, without a manual, without anything. But still, as the question is saying, you still have your own needs, and then of course you have your needs for your husband and everybody else. So women just in this peculiar place where you just have to do it for everybody. And I think the short answer, particularly in the short term, is, well, at least for me, you tend to not focus too much on yourself, particularly in the beginning, because there's this child that has all this need. Your husband still has his needs. you still, especially if you're a career person, you still want to be at the top of your career. You don't want anybody to feel, okay, you're 3 years back because you had this child, etc., etc. So you are forced to just put yourself fourth or fifth, and that was my experience. And I felt that I remember one day I saw Sianda and she just needed something. And I was like, I need to give Sianda 100% in this. And of course, I can't neglect Darren. And Darren and Darren is not a very needy person, thank God. And I think Candace said it earlier, it's like, oh, you're just glad you didn't have all this expectation placed on you. So I had that easy, that part was easier. But still, you still have to, be a wife. So for me, as I said, the simple answer is, especially in these very early years with a child, it's just you have to decide what the priorities are, and a lot of the times, and I feel like the men will say something very similar, like, you just don't have, you are to the fifth, just to stay on top of your game. So it's important to take care of yourself, and you would learn that as time go along. Like, listen, go out and do your hair. Listen, go and, just hang out with your friends or whatever it is. But in the grander scheme of things, you just, want to ensure that your family is paramount and then everything else after.
Yeah, just adding to that, I think it's important well, at least it was important for us. And, it's something that I guess Tova kind of wrap her mind around. That in the marriage, people had to toot you still have your individual way to toot. For example, like I cannot make a child. I do not have to go through that 9 months of extra weight and all those things. I could offer support, I could be there, I could go to what you call the classes?
Lamars?
I could go to Lamar's class, I could be in the room of the delivery. You still had to tote that weight of pushing out the child actually. And that is your burden to bear. And as much as I could support it, I cannot be there doing it with you. That's the thing about pregnancy. Literally, it's physically impossible. And I told Tova once, I don't know if she remembers, I say, the day will come when the weight of Sianda will fall on me, right? And it's coming, and she probably doesn't believe it yet. But for now, you just had to take your first 3-4 years. You had to take your leg Sianda like you more. She underneath you all the time. She sleeping at you, you cultivate and certain habits. So now you just have to bear that burden. But I know the based on the trajectory of our lives, I know the time gonna come when Sianda gonna be like my riding partner, because Tova going into a unique career there of law, and she has already begun to see how that takes up all of your attention. So I think that trust factor needs to be there in terms of yeah, this is my time to carry the burden. And when it's not my time now, so I relax and I cool, I get as many things done as possible. I enjoy my free time. I do have to sleep with Sian, and Sian always there. We are in a fortunate position where we have an extra bed in this house. So when Sian and Tova take up the whole bed, I could use the opportunity to stay down here, downstairs here and write and to do things. But I know that time is going to expire for me soon. And when that time expires, I am preparing myself not to be angry with Tova and saying, well, thing, and I had to do all this. I understood that she would have made a significant investment juggling and all these different things. And I have to prepare myself to make that investment. And it will come at a time where you'll have less time to write, less time to do things. So what I've been doing is more or less putting things in place, so that I guess many of the things that I would have started could continue when it becomes more consuming, or just trying to gauge into probably liking the things I like. So we could roll together, And that is it there really. And again, that is just an adjustment thing for you in your unique situation, whatever your situation is. Yes, and that's just the way I guess we have been navigating it so far.
I think our planning of our first 5 years helped our transition from the two of us to the third party, which was Shazan. Because I said we had the first 5 years plan, and we said after 2 years of marriage, we would look to have a baby. I think Sam was more anxious about the pregnancy than me, because every month we say, okay, this is the second year. So every end of the month, you're like, anything yet? I'm like, no. Anything yet? No. Until I started getting frustrated. Until one morning, I remember I got up and I was so sick. I started vomiting, and all the things went in my head is, oh gosh, I wonder if I have cancer, I wonder what I have. And he was smiling. I'm like, you're smiling? We're smiling. I can't hear nobody, doctor. I said, for what? I said, him, let us go. And so he was 100% supportive, because I was sick for the first 5 months, really, really sick. And he was 100% supportive throughout the whole pregnancy, everything. So that even when Shazan was born, I didn't have a normal pregnancy. I had a cesarean section. And he was there, so that even in the nighttime in getting up, he was up too. So the transition was kind of easy, so that I wasn't burdened or tired or anything like that. He made sure that I was comfortable, so that everything else could fall in place. So the transition wasn't hard at all.
Yeah, and I think it really came with the planning, because if you know that you want to be a man, and you're hearing things, and you know you want not to be under any label, you just know that if something coming, you have to plan for it. And it's just common sense. You need no maths, you need no Bible, you need no Quran, you need no guitar. You just know that if you have to do something, you have to plan for it. So that we plan for it and we get ready and we learn on the job. And when Shazan came, we just go with the flow. I mean, I was in Maranatha Seal Orchestra before. I have to practice 2 nights a week. Then we have church choir practice for 2 nights a week, and going to church the center week. So that was 5 nights in a week I was out before Shazan was born. So I continued for a good while. I tried to manage it, and so on. Is when Alicia came in 86. That is when I had to tell him, Maranatha Seal Orchestra, I had to take time off, because it was too much. You can't be going to band practice 2 nights from 7:30 to 9:30, and having a child was born, and then choir practice for 2 nights again, that time, and then you're working from 8 to 4. So I had to take a little 2 or 3 years from the love, my second love, which was music, playing Seal Orchestra, and then I just came back after some years. But you have to sacrifice it. We have to get ready as men and women. I didn't plan to give up that, but it just happened that there's no way I could give the fatherly input to Shazan and Alicia and be going up in the band for 2 nights a week, practicing all of us, and then going choir practice. I didn't give up the choir practice, but I gave up the band practice. So just get ready for sacrifices. Anybody who getting into anything, get ready for the sacrifice that will come that you didn't even know that you would have to make. So that's it.
Okay, so with us, we have a unique situation wherein we didn't really plan to get pregnant at the point in time I got pregnant. But I mean, I had a good pregnancy and everything, so I didn't have to worry about that. When you're in plan, you kind of get into it after a while, so you get into, okay, as your body change, and only when I started to feel the baby moving, that's when I was like, okay, I'm pregnant, and I get the little excitement, and so, and then when Kayla was born, and I think it was a decent delivery and everything. It was an adjustment in terms of having to get up, and then so it was very hands-on, and he still is very hands-on, getting up in the night. I think the excitement was made it a little easier to get up in the night, realize, all the different changes of the baby, when the poop change in color, all that kind of thing is like, it was an exciting period. And, you could get so wrapped up in a situation, and sometimes you realize you put in all your interests, both parties, in this little baby. You could tend to forget your partner and your partner's needs. And when Kayla was about 4 months, we realized that things were not progressing how it's supposed to be. So then we went from one doctor to the next doctor to a specialist to that, to that, to that. And after he was a year, they said he had developmental problems. And listen to me, going on the internet, it was like traumatic. It was the worst thing. I went into depression, and it was a trial. It was really, I don't even know how to explain it. It was a tough time because I never ever thought about the possibility of having a special needs child. Didn't even come in my mind. It was just the normal thing. Get married, have a child, you see where it goes after that, preschool, nursery. You just go through. I never thought about what if you have a special needs child. So I wasn't prepared for it. So it was really, really a blow. And I think we were both dealing with it individually. He was dealing with it however he was dealing with it. I was dealing with it how I was dealing with it, but we were not dealing with it together. And that was a challenge on the marriage. We had to do a lot of counseling for individually, not much individual sessions, but together in terms of how to anticipate, because you just don't know how the end gonna be, how the middle gonna be, how the next day gonna be. It just didn't know, and not knowing was hard, and knowing that you can't do anything about it was even harder. It's one thing to find out, okay, your child have a heart problem, they could do a surgery and fix the problem, or whatever problem you could go and fix. No, it was so difficult accepting that there's nothing you can do, and we just had to lean completely on God. I said, Lord, this is what you give us. You had to deal with it, yes, because I cannot deal with it, and we sacrificed, and we took him to Canada for a 5-week period. And I think that's when a lot of healing came, for me at least, because you realize you're not in this alone. We would have met 9 other families from all over the world, Quebec, Canada, New York, Alaska, that were going through the same pain. And I think it really helped me to understand that I'm not in this alone. So whereas I may have started a journey of having a baby, and of course, your peers within 2, 3, 5-year period was having a baby, and it felt really alone. It was alone in this aspect because nobody else going through what you're going through. Nobody could understand what you're going through, and you don't have anybody else to guide you through this situation with a special needs child who is 100% dependent on you. So when we went and met other people, we realized that, okay, we are on a new journey with new friends that understand what we're going through, So it also forced us to reprioritize our plans, because yes, we had the plans that, okay, we're gonna, the next step after we get married, we were saving towards purchasing a house, So that was the next work in progress. Then we get pregnant, and after that, you're studying house. I forget house, whatever. It was all the resources into this one little human being to get the best for him, And it took us it took me about a 2-year period to readjust into his situation, as well as to form our new normal. So our normal is different to another couple's normal, who would have a typical child going through the typical stages and everything, And learning to balance, and once you get the adjustments and you get the pain and you cry for over a year. I cried for over a year all the time, especially not knowing I can't do nothing about this, And you learn to adjust with God, because there was plenty of prayer and plenty of support from our family, and you know, once we were able to get into that new routine, then we kind of learn to deal with each other with the counseling too, because sometimes you become so wrapped up in this situation, you forget, well, okay, he still have needs, I still have needs. You know, and sometimes my mom, who lived with us from when he was a baby, she would be like, I taken Kaden, you'll go out, take a break. You know, and I think that really helped a lot. You know, so it goes back to being purposeful in attending to your partner's need and being purposeful in keeping your marriage happy and keeping your romance there. You have to be deliberate in that.
Yeah, real quick. We had to spend a lot of time, or we had to learn how to communicate with each other again. Because the situation with Kaden almost tear the marriage apart. But now Kaden is the glue that keeps us together, right? And that only happened as we learn to communicate with each other properly during the process. And it has become very important to take time away, even in this. I believe I am the only person who could take care of Kaden. Nobody could take care of Kaden the way I could do it. And I believe that is my responsibility to do it. But there are times when I need to step back just to relax, just to do nothing. I remember the first time we went out without Kaden, we did not enjoy ourselves because we thinking about what he doing now, if the person saying about him properly. We went to Lime to do married people thing, and we cut the married people thing short to go back home. We had to go back home. I just had to find out what was going on with my son. But based on the question asked, sometimes Candace would just be like, there's like going out to come back, and she go out with her girlfriends. It's just to clear her head to come back in the game. Or I know on my part, I stop a lot of things. I heard Sam talk about the sacrifice, and that's one thing that I thought that's just a natural progression. I just stop a lot of things so I could be very hands-on with Kaden, to the point that Candace would be like, take a break. These people calling you to do some stuff. It's not like I can handle Kaden. You go and do it as you had to do, and you come back. So yeah, it's important to take that break, but it's more important, I think, from our dynamic, the communication between Candace and I, that helps us go through a lot. Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing so much with us today. We appreciate all of you attending this interview with us. We have Amanda and I have learned, well, yes, I'm going to speak on behalf of Amanda. We both have learned a lot from you married folks. So I pray that God continues to bless your marriages. You know, one day I would hope to be like Brother Sam.
Very good.
Married
Excellent.
for how much years, Brother Sam? 40 plus?
Yeah, yes. But 40,
right?
This year will be 40 November.
Right.
29 will be 40 years.
Hopefully, I get to that place if Jesus comes.
And not only that, if I may put in, and Denzel and Darren and I, we will start something just for your sake.
Right. All right. Okay.
Yeah, after this nice interview.
All right. And with that, guys, we have come to the end of our discussion. Thanks again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share the video. And if you have missed part 1 before you say I do, part 2 when to say I do, just go back and click and enjoy. You have a lovely rest of your day, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank